Yo, my people. What's up, everybody? Mark Eller here, and thanks for tuning in. Today, I'm going to talk to you about self-advocacy. It's something that's really important and really empowering. For those of you who don't know me, I'm someone with special needs. In 2004, I lost my vision because of a traumatic brain injury. So having total blindness as well as a traumatic brain injury, I'm someone with special needs. And that's something that's really important to me. They're my basic human needs. It's a part of who I am for my functionality. It's a need, and that's why I advocate to make sure those needs are met. And that's why I want to share this with you today. Today, I'm talking about the advocating for my transportation needs. As someone with total blindness, my transportation is obviously a need of mine. It's something that I need help with, a special need. And those of you who don't know, I started a job actually October 2022. Almost been working there a year now, but still working a year. Transportation is one of my issues and something I advocate for. So I'm an active member of PACE ADA Paratransit. For those of you who don't know, PACE ADA Paratransit, it's something that actually was started by the ADA, the Americans Disability Act. See, public transportation is something that actually most people can access and a lot of people use to get to and from work. Someone like myself with total loss of vision, it's not easy for me to get to a fixed bus route and catch the bus to work, as same as a sighted individual. So because of my special needs, I qualify for ADA Paratransit. It's a service that I can call 24 hours in advance, a minimum of 24 hours in advance, to book a ride to get me from point A to point B. So it's a very convenient and nice service to use. I use it for work, I use it for grocery shopping, a lot of things. But when you have like a work schedule and you have the same schedule every day and you have to call every 24 hours for the bus, it gets a little tedious and a little annoying. Because also when you're calling and you have to schedule a different bus for every different work schedule, a different day, there's no consistency. It's servicing a whole county. It's difficult for them to have actually to appease you the exact same time every day. So the inconsistency is annoying. Sometimes I'm there really early and then I get picked up really late, or vice versa. I get there late and then the bus wants to pick me up really early. Sometimes I have a ride there, sometimes I don't have a ride home. So there's inconsistencies. It's not the greatest service in the world. I mean, it helps. It's convenient. It helps do the deal. So I've been sticking it out and just keeping at it and doing work and using the service, and thankfully my employer is considerate and understanding. But it makes me feel helpless sometimes, and I don't like the inconsistencies. I recently found out there's something called a subscription plan. Because I'm an active member of PACE ADA Paratransit, and a minimum of 4 days a week, I have the same fixed schedule. It's the same schedule every day, every time. I can get a subscription plan. I don't have to call the service every time to schedule a ride. They have my work schedule, so they have the same fixed schedule to get me the bus. Fabulous. I love it, baby. Because not only do I not have to call and deal with the inconsistencies and inconvenience, it's on a fixed schedule, so it's much more consistent. I'm a higher need and a higher priority. So that was actually something I'm like, dude, bam, I got to get on this. I called and tried to set up my subscription plan, but they kept denying it. They kept saying I am not eligible. But they didn't have grounds to stand on. There wasn't a reason. They just said, I'm not eligible. But I kept saying I'm a PACE ADA Paratransit user. I have 4 days the same schedule. I just couldn't process it. No matter who I talked to, it wouldn't get me anywhere. It was like talking to a wall. I'm getting nowhere. Where you going? Nowhere. So eventually, I'm still just dealing with it. I'm sticking it out there and just dealing with it. Eventually, it got to the point where like, you know what? This is grinding my gears. I know my rights. Because I'm getting nowhere talking to them, I went outside the company. I decided, you know what? I'm talking to my state representative. These are my rights. I know my rights because they're not compliant with the ADA right now. I actually just plugged in Illinois State Representative in Google, and it came up Daniel Didich, my state representative for Illinois, Daniel Didich. Came up with his name, his address, his phone number, and his email. That's all public information. You have access to that no matter your state or county. So I plugged that in and got his information. I sent him an email and explained my situation. The next day, his secretary emailed me and said they were so sorry to hear about this. They said they would actually help on my behalf. The next day, PACE called me. It was the regional district manager of PACE. He called me and said that he's sorry his staff was not being helpful, but I was right. I was eligible for my subscription, so he hooked it up. He got my fixed work schedule. I sent it over to them, and they got me set on my subscription plan. I'm like, booyah, that's what's up, baby. Who the man? You the man. And so it was nice to advocate for myself and do that. It made my rides so much more consistent. It was much more on time. I didn't have to deal with the hassle. It was nice to feel respected. So I was riding that out for a while, baby. That's what's up. But then after a little bit, my bus started being consistently late. Instead of my 7:30 pickup time every day, it was getting there at 7:45. I started saying something to the bus driver, and they're like, no, we're on time. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, buddy. But they kept saying they were on time. So I called dispatch, and dispatch told me that my subscription plan was set for 7:45, even though it was originally 7:30. No matter how much I would argue this with them, they would just tell me I was crazy and delusional. They said they don't even operate before 7:45, so it's not plausible. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I was losing my mind with it. But again, I just stuck it out there and was just hanging on and dealing with it. But eventually it was grinding my gears again, and I didn't like being late to work all the time. So I also actually spoke to the drivers. When I was explaining this to the drivers told me that the buses they operate before 7:45. They know that they pick people up in my town as early as 6:30. So that I was getting this information from different people. The drivers were telling me they would come to my area early, and dispatchers said that they wouldn't. And plus, with my subscription getting changed, I'm like, okay. I called the CEO again, the regional district manager. I called homie I talked to set it up. And I said, look, man, my subscription got changed that you actually helped give me. Dispatch is telling me that they don't even operate before that time. The drivers are telling me something different, and I know you set this for 7:30. What's up? He said they don't have a bus available anymore for 7:30. So now he's just admitting to me that they don't have a bus available, so they changed my subscription without even notifying me, even though it's on a fixed schedule. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. He's like, sorry, Mark, we don't have that 7:30 available. I was like, well, how about a 7:15? I'd rather be 15 minutes early than 15 minutes late. He was, oh, we can do that. We don't have the 7:30, but we can probably get you a 7:15, maybe a 7 o'clock. I'm like, awesome. I'd rather be to work early and have good work ethic than be late all the time. He's like, Mark, I'm sorry. Someone will call you back within a half an hour to reset up your subscription for a good time. That was in March when I talked to homie, in March, and no one has still called me back to try to actually rectify anything. So again, I'm sticking it out and dealing with it. But that's actually when Memorial Day weekend, it was a Monday, and I actually have my fixed work schedule plan. There was a bus, no call, no show. I called Pace and asked where my bus was. They said, Mark, we're not open today, it's a holiday. I'm like, really, you're not open? Why did you answer the phone? Well, actually, Mark, we are open. We just don't have buses running. Okay. I was like, I've never had this issue before on a holiday. Why are you telling me now? They're like, Mark, we don't operate on holidays. And I guess you do. I've been at work many a holiday. And then they just paused for a minute and told me the reason my bus wasn't available is it was booked as a Ride Lake County bus. And Ride Lake County doesn't operate on holidays. I said, okay, Ride Lake County doesn't operate on holidays, but I'm a PACE ADA paratransit user. That's what this was supposed to be scheduled for. They said it's scheduled for Ride Lake County. I'm like, that's not my fault. You guys scheduled it for something that it's not. It's supposed to be scheduled for PACE ADA paratransit. Where's my bus? They said, sorry, Mark, we don't have one. It's a holiday. I'm like, wow. I'm getting nowhere with them, so I decided to Uber it to work. So then actually shortly after this, it's 2 Sundays in a row. It's the last Sunday of June and the first Sunday of July. The bus was really late. It was actually 2 hours late and made me 2 hours late to work, which when you're working part-time, a 4-hour shift, when you're not there for half the shift, that's not really helpful. So the way it went down to is that, my bus is supposed to be there at 7:45. And basically, I'm always out there by 7:30 waiting early just in case. Just in case there's some hope it's there early. By 8 o'clock, there was no call, no show. I called dispatch and asked where the bus was. They said, Mark, we don't have a bus available, or we don't know if we have one. It's a yes or no. They don't know if they have one or not. They said they will call me if and when they know they have one available. I'm like, wow. So it made me a sitting duck. I didn't know what to call work and tell them. If I'm late or if I can't make it, I didn't know if I should put out the change for Uber and get to work if I'm going to have a bus here shortly. So again, by 8:30, I had no response. I called them and asked. And that's when they said they still don't know if they have a bus available or not. So by 10 minutes to 9, 8:50, I got a call and they said, Mark, your bus will be there at 9:10. And so again, I'm almost 2 hours late to work, and that's half my schedule. Thankfully, my work was actually okay with it, but I don't like the helplessness. I don't like the inconsistency. Again, a 4-hour shift, I don't want to miss 2 hours. And this is on a fixed schedule. Like I have a subscription plan where first they change it and then they're consistently late that much. I didn't like this, and this is my rights. As this is happening and I'm literally about to email my state rep, I actually get an email from the Lake County clerk. My state rep also emailed me and said, Mark, we want to check in and see how things are doing. And we also actually tagged the Lake County clerk in this email thread because they say a lot of people have had similar issues. They thought they could help you with it. We wanted to check in. I'm like, oh, good thing you checked in. I was about to email you. I explained what happened with my subscription, that it got altered and changed, even though they helped me obtain it. And then also, they constantly just lie to me and tell me different things. That on Memorial Day weekend, they didn't have a solid reason why I didn't have a bus. They just tell me what they want to at the time. And they're consistently late. And so telling them this, the Lake County clerk is the one who replied back and said they were so sorry. They're going to speak to them on my behalf. The next day, Pace actually called me and told me my subscription plan was canceled. They literally said that they're so late on Sundays because they physically don't have a bus available, and even the third-party taxi service they use doesn't have a cab available. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. The audacity for them to tell me that, for them to tell me they don't have a bus available and the third-party taxi service doesn't have a cab. Find a different taxi service. This is a service that you're supposed to provide to somebody. If you can't do it, you have to be held accountable and do something about that. You can't punish me, the consumer. The consumer is always right. I know my rights. You can't tell me that you can't just cancel the bus on me because you can't be able to do it. It's my right to be able to have this service. It's my special need. And that's why it was getting to me, is because they didn't want to take accountability. They didn't like it that they couldn't provide the service for me, and I'm complaining to the right authority, and it was getting some smoke on them. They didn't like it. They didn't being like under heat under the state. They knew the state was contacting them, so they didn't want to take accountability. They knew they couldn't fix it, and so they would rather punish me. Like, this guy's giving us a hard time. Let's just cancel his subscription. They thought they could just punish me and cancel it, and not to take accountability because they knew. But again, people, it's a service that they're supposed to provide. It's not my fault. So again, I emailed the Lake County clerk because I knew they had nothing to stand on. There's no reason that they can just cancel my service. I also, Pace themselves has a hotline phone number to call to file a complaint about it. Most of the times when I call that number, it gets nowhere. They just shove it under the rug and it does absolutely nothing. Because even when I called earlier, when I was having an issue when my subscription got changed, and I called dispatch and they told me they don't operate before 7:45, their hotline number said the same thing. So I had a hard time trusting the hotline, the complaint number, because they said they don't work before 7:45, which was a lie. And anytime I complain, is getting nothing done with them. So anyway, I still wanted to call. I called them and told them what happened, and they said, Mark, that's unacceptable. That can't be done. They're going to escalate that to management, someone higher up. And again, I emailed the Lake County clerk and my state rep and explained that they now canceled my subscription and had the audacity and the unprofessionalism. So that's when they contacted me and said that they're going to try to do something because that's unacceptable. The next day, Pace called me back, and it was pretty amusing to me, the humility and the defeat in their voice. They sounded like a defeated Homer Simpson. They were like, we're sorry, Mark. You're right. We can't cancel your subscription. And they didn't say that to me, but I could hear it in their voice. They said, Mark, your subscription is back on. You'll get picked up at 7:45 on every Sunday, every weekend. And I didn't want to keep them on the phone and just be railing them about it. I'm just like, thank you. I kept it professional, because that's important too, people, is keep it professional. Is how I got this done is basically having a professional mannerism. I didn't call them and just be crying hysterically and want a pity party and make them feel guilty. That's not going to help. I didn't start banging down doors. Mark's getting upset. You're going to cancel my buses? Put up your dukes. I went a professional way. I basically outlined all the criteria of why I'm eligible, the service they're supposed to provide. Why they're not providing it is that's on them. It's not on me. I know that I'm eligible for the service. when they weren't fixing it within the company, I outsourced and went out of the company to the state. And it's really good to keep it professional and know how to tackle it, everybody. So that's basically, that's the way that I went about it. Again, it was nice when they called me and did that. I was able to advocate for myself, everybody. And it's just one of those, booyah, who the man? That's how I made it to work last weekend. That's how I made it to work this weekend, everybody. Happy Saturday. S-A-T-U-R-D. Everybody, they reinstated my service because I know it's my right. That's the thing, is when a lot of these institutions, they think that they supply it so they can tell you it. But no, again, the consumer is right. I know my special needs and I know my rights. They're supposed to supply it. Just because they're supplying the service, when they're supplying that service, they think they can just tell you whatever they want. That's why on the phone, they told me again, Memorial Day weekend, they didn't have a bus. It's easy for them to just change my subscription and say they don't have buses earlier at that time. They can just, they think that because they supply the service, they can tell me whatever. They know that I'm dependent on it and need it. So they think that I'm just going to roll over and tell them, you're right, I'm wrong, I need this, so you tell me how it is. No, I know my rights, I know my special needs. That's why I did this the way that I did this, everyone. I want you to know you can do the same thing. And another thing, everyone, I know a lot of people have these struggles. When I was doing this, when I was talking it out with my state rep, when I was trying to get this service fixed, I contacted Equip for Equality. Equip for Equality is a nonprofit legal firm that helps people with different abilities like myself. They make sure your rights are defended and you get your needs met. I called Equip for Equality to speak to them about a consultation and explain what was happening. The lawyer I talked to, they broke down in tears on the phone with me. I could hear in their voice, it was disheartening. They have so many consumers have the same problem. There's so many institutions that think they can tell the consumer their rights and just deny them it. They say there's so many people that lose their jobs, that can't get their medical needs met because these services aren't supplying it, but they know that it's their right, everybody. You know it's your right. And that's why I know a lot of people struggle with this, but advocate for yourself, everyone. Know your rights and make sure that they're getting met. Do it like I explained. Outline it, make sure you can explain the rights and your needs, what they're supposed to provide and when they're not. Outsourced somewhere else, everybody. That's why advocating, baby, it's empowering. That's why I'm feeling good about it. Who the man, baby? I was grateful that I got to keep my job and I can actually keep it at a good timing and I can have my needs met. It's so nice, everybody. It's empowering when you start doing it. You're going to keep doing it and you're going to make your needs met. Everybody, keep it professional. Keep a good professional attitude. Keep it sexy. You know it. That also helps, everybody. A little sex appeal goes a long way in the professional world. Keep it sexy. No, but that's what's up, everybody. Keep it sexy. Keep it professional. Make good choices. Until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side, baby. Catch you on the flip side.